Hi, Zizaran here with another video. This time we're going to be covering the Metamorph League. So this is a catch-up video for those of you who missed the league or you didn't get that into it. And maybe you just want a refresher and a reminder and some information on how to use the league and what to do with it. So Metamorph League was the league that came with the Conqueror of the Atlas expansion. And Metamorph itself didn't really have an end game per se, but that was complemented pretty well by the Conqueror expansion. Metamorph was actually my favorite league of all time so far, and I really enjoyed it, which is kind of weird because normally I'm all about the end game and it didn't really have one. It was an insanely rippy league and very rewarding, and it was really fun. Probably slightly biased and enjoyed it slightly more just because of the Conqueror stuff as well, obviously. The audio for this video might be a little scuffed, that's because it just moved and there's not that much in the rooms. So there's a bit of an echo. We're going to hopefully fix that tomorrow, but we need to record a lot of videos for League Start. So here we are. So Metamorph is going core, and it's going to be a 10% chance every time you enter a map that you will encounter a Metamorph. And during those encounters, you will meet Tane Octavius. And he's like the NPC of this league, and it's very easy to notice if there's a Metamorph in your map or not, because there will be loads of like spots on your map, and it was great actually for seeing packs, and especially hidden packs like the crabs that go underground, stuff like that. So that was actually a really nice thing. I quite like that. And every time you see a marked mob on the map, when you kill it, that mob will drop a sample, and these are like automatically picked up and added to your character sheet. And there are 5 types of organs that you can collect: brains, lungs, heart, liver, and eyes. And you only need one of each organ to construct a Metamorph. And then there's different rarities on them too, right? So you have like the normal monsters, you have the magic monsters, rare monsters, and then you have the map boss. And the rarer an item is, the more the progress bar is going to get topped up. I'll explain how the progress bar works later. And it's important to remember, you don't need every organ in the map. Even if you only clear 30% of the map, as long as you have one of each piece, that's enough to spawn a Metamorph. Like if there's like an armor badge or a weapon badge on something that's from a normal monster, that could still be a 6-thing armor or a 6-thing weapon. So it is important to hover over the reward ones. If there's just an image of an eye, that can't be anything special. But the ones that do have a logo, even if it's from a common monster, that could be a 6th-thing, and that's important to remember because there were a lot of people missing these. You can call Tane early by clicking the V key, and that's generally always like the current league mechanic key. So if you're for example, inside an incursion, V will also bring up the map there. And then when you click on Tane, you can see all the organs you've collected. The little bar in the right corner as well is going to glow green when you've collected everything as well. And then you can just you can either drag and drop them in or just shift click them. I usually just shift click them, and you only get to use one of each organ type. So if you have like 3 really good rewards for a brain, you can't get all of those. And it's pretty self-explanatory because it's very similar to leagues in the past, like for example Legion or Blight. So if you play those leagues, you're already going to know some of the reward structure. There'll be the chests that are basically anything. You'll have the weapons, which are most likely rare weapons. Armor, rare armor. We have the jewel ones. We have essences. So it's loads of nice rewards for Metamorph. The one that's specific to Metamorph is catalysts. And we can talk and explain how those work as well. And they're an amazing addition to the game. And a lot of power creep as well. The icons represent what you can get. And we'll go through a quick list of them. And like I said, they're all very common with, or they're all very similar to leagues you've seen in the past. So you have the random items. You have armor ones. And that can be like 6 things. Unique. Incursion items. Incursion ones definitely worth looking out for. Veiled items or just rares. You have weapon ones, and again, with all these special things, you'll see what the special is when you hover over them, right? So you can get, like, again, unique weapons or incursion ones. Incursion ones pretty much everywhere are always worth getting. There's so many good modifiers. Some examples being percentage life on armor, the movement speed or dodge on boots, And on weapons, you can get like really high like percentage damage rolls. And on jewelry, you can get percentage life or percentage energy shield, which is extremely strong. On the unique item ones, there could be like league specific uniques and 6 links as well. So you can get 6 link unique ones. This was really good for me in Metamorph because I got a 6 link lightning coil, which in the league wasn't something I would have gone out of my way to 6 link myself, but I ended up utilizing it very well on my character. And then you have like normal things like fossils, blight items, and loads of great stuff. So yeah, super worth. Now, the icons will also like tell you some affixes and what attacks they're going to give to the Metamorph. Some of them are very deadly. They have been nerfed multiple times and changed a lot, but there are some that are insanely rippy. So most of the barrage ones can be very rippy. Soul or horror barrage in particular can just shred your character. And most things that have soul in the name you want to avoid as well. Horror as well can be very scary. Volatile mods as well are very scary, especially the volatile crawlers. They'll send out like a bunch of spiders. They're very quick and they explode very fast and do a crazy amount of damage. I died to it this league, and even while watching the video, I'm like, what killed me? If you put an organ from a boss in the Metamorph, it's going to gain an ability from it, and it's going to say that on the organ what ability it gains. Something I want to make sure that people watch out for is stacking like movement and attack speed stacking on the monsters can add up and kill you very quickly. A lot of people ended up just clicking the left column and not really looking at the mods, and suddenly you'd see a Metamorph coming out and just like and killing everybody. So you definitely want to be careful. Now on the right, you see the bar that I talked about earlier, and this fills up the more organs you're putting in. Especially the unique boss will fill this up quite a lot. And a nice trick for this can be using multiple unique bosses. So something like a courtyard that has multiple bosses is very easy to fill up the bar. And you want to fill up that bar, obviously without dying, because if you make it too rippy, you're in standard. This bar will only fill if you have at least one unique monster in there. And when it's fully filled and it like turns like green, that means that it's going to drop an organ. Like an organ that'll actually go into your inventory. A lot of people are wondering, how do you choose what organ you get? Like for example, in Metamorph, like a lot of people are struggling with getting enough eyes. And there are some tricks you can do to make sure that you're getting more eyes. So let's take an example of the courtyard map, right? And you could roll double boss on this as well to get a lot of Metamorph unique monster parts. So for example, say that you have the option to get to use an eye that is unique, but you also have a unique eye, a brain, and a heart. Well, if you're using the unique brain and an eye, then you have a 50% chance whether it's going to give you an eye or a brain. However, if you manage to use only the eye and then the other parts are rare or blue or white and it still fills up the bar, then you're guaranteed that the piece that comes out is going to be an eye. So a lot of people are obviously not 100% sure on how this worked. So even if they were doing a map with multiple unique monsters, they would probably just put all of them in. And when you do fill up this bar, you do get an organ to keep, and then you can make like a super Metamorph in Tain's Laboratory. These are usually insanely weak just because there's no map modifiers. So even like the pretty rippy ones with, you know, a lot of damage mods and stuff like that, they weren't really that scary. I don't think I ever saw my HP bar move in Tain's Laboratory. I don't know if that's something they're going to rebalance in Delirium, but I doubt it. Now, usually it's worth to go for the organ. However, if there's the case of, you know, something valuable, like for example, like Catalyst or a 6-link or a Blight map, then, you know, in that area, maybe just skip going for the Metamorph organ and just get like the really good reward. But even if you don't have any good rewards, so say you only get some like rare weapons, some rare armors, but you manage to fill up the bar, that organ that drops could, for example, give a 6-link. So even if the rewards themselves are bad, the organ reward might be good. So once you spawn the Metamorph, it's going to switch between the different mob types that you've put in, and it'll be using their abilities. And once you hit 75, 50, and 25% on the Metamorph, it's going to spawn creep waves. And these are really good to get Val Souls, to get flasks back, or just to stay alive. But the monsters themselves can be rippy sometimes as well. Depends what area you are. I found, especially early on, like Blood Aqueduct had a lot of rippy monsters from the Metamorph. Because they would spawn the archers and they would tornado shot you, and it was pretty dangerous. And the Metamorph can be extremely tanky and it will deal a lot of damage. So you definitely want a solid build for dealing with this. Something I found was insanely great at dealing with it for every build was just a Granite Flask and a Val Molten Shell. Getting an extra 3k life, or in some builds 6 to 10k extra life from your Val Molten Shell just really helped deal with the Metamorph very well. So once you have one of each organ in your bag, you can go to Tain's laboratory and start making these super Metamorphs. And they can be pretty rewarding. I would normally like stack up quite a lot because I didn't want to go to Tain's lab and just do one and then go back to mapping. So I would normally like save up for sessions. So I would do like 30 to 50 in one session, but at least I wouldn't be going like back and forth all the time. And yeah, you just slam the 5 organs into the device and kill it, and there you go. A couple of tips here is if you do have like really good rewards. So for example, you find one with a 6th link, and then it can be very worth trying to like find other high level ones. So say you have a 6th link one and that's from a item level 81, like an 81 zone. Well, it could be very nice to have 4 other 80 plus zones too, because the harder and more dangerous that the Metamorph is, the higher chance you have. It'll say the number something like 36% chance for double rewards. And the way that would work on the 6th link is you could get 2 6th links. So it's definitely worth trying for that on like the very rewarding stuff. Once you are in Tain's laboratory as well, filling that green bar does nothing. I was very sad by this, and I was hoping to get some sort of massive Metamorph or like a key to go fight like Tain's, like the lore is like he was like enslaved, and I don't know, I was hoping for something cool there, right? Like another boss. The other hope I really had for Metamorph was that we could get Metamorph parts from Uber Ziri, Uber Elder, Shaper, and then make super bosses. And that's something I hope they will revisit this league, because I think that's such a cool way and good way to reuse old content to get really exciting cool content. So the ways you can encounter Metamorph: you have a 10% chance in random encounter in maps. There are Metamorph Scarabs now from Ashleen and Betrayal, and obviously you can randomly drop Scarabs as well. Metamorph is also on the Awakened Sextant as an encounter there. Metamorph is not on the Zana mod for 3.10, but it might be later. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some divination cards for organs. The Gilded Scarab is particularly worth talking about for a Metamorph, because what it does is that if you put it in a map, every single Metamorph part will have a reward on it. So there would be a fairly high chance that you would get like a 6th link or several catalysts and stuff like that. If you do want to farm these like boss organs, definitely look at the maps that have multiple unique bosses. So like Race Course, Courtyard, City Square, and rolling double boss on them is great too. Now, if you are like trying to specifically get one organ, make sure they're only using one of the unique organs, that they use the other ones that are rare, so they're not competing for which organ you get. Another thing as well worth mentioning is that you can sell for 3 to 1 the organs, right? And you'll get random ones. A very nice thing about this is you can't get an organ that was part of the recipe. So if you sell 3 hearts, you can only get like the liver, eye, you can get the other ones. So if you're selling brains, lungs, and hearts, then you can only get livers and eye. So that's what a lot of people were doing, since liver and eye was usually less common. So that's a nice thing. So if you're selling the most common ones, you won't get the most common one. So catalysts were introduced with this league as well, and they're basically quality for your belt, your rings, and your amulet. They can increase resistances, base attributes, caster mods, attack mods, defense mods, elemental mods, and life and mana. So this was like quite a lot of power creep. they're a little bit clunky to craft with, because if you open up a currency tab, for example, and search for catalyst, you'll see that some of your currencies will actually remove quality. So for example, if you use an exalted orb or an annulment on something that has 20% quality, you lose all of that quality, which is really annoying. A nice thing to mention here is if you are using Leo from Betrayal to exalt something, that will not lose the 20% quality. Augmentations will remove quality. I believe regals will remove quality. So there's quite a lot of currencies that do actually remove quality here, and it makes it annoying to craft. Definitely a plus for either scour alching or chaos crafting or chaos spamming, because that doesn't remove quality. Essences as well, and fossils does not remove quality either. But yeah, it's great. If you have a ring with 50 life and you have the 20% quality on it, that will have 60 life. And it works on unique rings as well. So like for Call of the Brotherhood, you can get more conversion. So there's a lot of really good strong uses. Astramentis, obviously, with the intrinsic catalyst. And yeah, it adds quite a lot of value. Obviously, some of the rarer ones, like the fertile ones or the prismatic, is best used on white items and then crafted on, because they're pretty rare, and getting 20 to actually use on a rare item is fairly expensive, probably around 150 to 250 chaos. Now do remember, you can't stack multiple of these qualities, so you can only choose one. Like you can't have prismatic resistance quality and fertile life and mana quality on the same one. Not only do catalysts actually add like stats to our items, it also makes it easier to craft. So if you have the prismatic one, it'll be easier to get resist rolls. Metamorph also added 4 unique items that are definitely worth talking about. The most notable one is Astral Projector, and that lets any Nova skill be cast at a distance around your cursor location. So this was really nice for several skills, and also it would work on things like Shockwave Totem, and that would just be like a ranged shockwave now. So very strong, was used a lot, and very nice, very cool ring. Mother's Embrace, which lets your minions use your flask when summoned. Very interesting, unique. Warrior's Legacy means that strike skills strike again after a delay, and this costs 20% attack speed, but pretty cool still. Fury's Valve. So with Fury Valve, you only fire one projectile, but it splits when you hit. So some really cool uniques, and very different. Obviously the Astral Projector really stands out and is a lot more stronger than anything else. But yeah, wanted to make like this video so to help people catch up with Metamorph if you did miss it. It was a very cool league. Very happy that it went core. I would have wanted it to go more core, so to say. I wish it was a bigger part of the game. Maybe just implemented fully. I just really liked the league. I think it was a very nice, like, it was so rewarding, but it was just so dangerous. And I love risk rewarding games. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, drop by my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Zizaran. Thanks for watching, and try to die less than I do.